Hi, my name is Ronan Moore, and I'm the author of the Fionn series, which includes Young Fionn and Fionn and the Fianna. Now, if you have yet to read any of these books, I wanted to give you a little bit of a background as to who Fionn MacCumhaill was, and also about the time that he lived in. Now, Fionn was born around 210 AD, which is about 200 years after the birth of Jesus and about 2000 years before the birth of yourself. So it's quite a long, long time ago. All that we know about Fionn and his life are from some very ancient books that were written hundreds of years ago. Some of these books were lost to the mists of time, but some of these books, such as the Book of Lishmore and the Book of Duncow, have survived. And it is in the translations of these books that I've delved into to try and find the tales and to retell the story of Fionn. Now, Fionn lived during Celtic times, which meant Celts controlled Ireland at the time. And these were a race of people who had travelled from Europe about 700 years before Fionn. And these people were storytellers, they were poets, they were farmers, they were hunters, they were craftspersons as well as warriors. And it is believed that they lived in about 150 pieces in Ireland that were sometimes called Tuath, and that's how Ireland was divided. And these were ruled by local chiefs and local kings. However, at certain occasions, Ireland was ruled by just one king, a high king who ruled from the hill of Tara. And to help them do this, they used an elite fighting force which were known as the Fianna, which of course Fionn is very much associated with. Now, to be in the Fianna, you had to be not only an accomplished warrior, you also had to be a skilled poet, which was really, really important. Fionn's father was a man by Cool, and that's where Fionn's name comes from, Fionn MacCumhaill, Fionn, son of Cool, and he was once the head of the Fianna. Fionn's mother was a woman called Myrna, and Myrna was the daughter of Tadhg, who was then the chief druid of Ireland. Now, the problem, unfortunately, was that Tadhg had fallen under the influence of the Dal Dubh, an evil supernatural entity from the other world that wished the destruction of mortals in Ireland and would do anything that it could take to try and do this. Tadhg did not want Myrna to be with Cuail, and because at the time the head of the Fianna could not marry, he managed to persuade the then High King, a man by the name of Conn of the 100 Battles, to outlaw Cuail and to allow them hunt them down. Now, the Fianna force then was passed over to control to a monstrous individual who was called Aed MacMorna, and he was from Clan Morna, the family of Morna, and they were arch enemies of Fionn's family and Cuail's family, Clan Bashna. So he was only delighted to be given the responsibility to try and hunt Cuail and Myrna down. And eventually his men caught up with Cuail, and that took place at the Battle of Nucha, which is modern day Castleknock in Dublin. In the end, Aed would be victorious, although during the battle he would lose his sight, and that is why he would become known as Aed Gull MacMorna, and that's what he's known as, Gull, during the series. Fionn was born the very day that this battle took place, but he escaped, and he came under the care of two women called Bommel and Brack, who would become his foster mothers. And it was they who brought him to Slieve Bloom in the centre of Ireland and taught him to become the most famous warrior Ireland has ever known. Of course, it was not all plain sailing. And in the following extracts, in the following videos, I'm going to give you a taste of some of the adventures that he would have to overcome.